This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapped up his high-stakes trip to China by striking a conciliatory tone on several fronts. Ben Wolfgang reports he reiterated America's long-standing One China policy and its opposition to Taiwanese independence. He even declared that Washington is prepared to move past the furor generated by a suspected Chinese spy balloon that flew over the United States earlier this year. Blinken's approach paid dividends as he secured a face-to-face meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Both men acknowledged the need to address rising U.S.-Chinese tension before their closed-door conversation. Staying in the region, the defense chiefs of India and Vietnam, two states that have fought wars and have territorial disputes against China, are holding talks. Andrew Salmon reports the move comes after the national security chiefs of Japan, the Philippines, and the U.S. met in Tokyo to lay out blueprints last week for another trilateral defense partnership to confront Chinese challenges. India, which fought a border war with China in 1962, is jostling with Chinese troops over their boundary in the Himalayas. Vietnam fought a border war with China in 1979 and is at odds with Chinese forces trying to enforce sovereignty claims in the South China Sea. A search and rescue operation is underway in the Atlantic Ocean for a small tourism and research submarine that went missing while on an expedition to view the wreckage of the Titanic. Matt Delaney reports the U.S. Coast Guard is using a C-130 military transport plane to look for an overdue Canadian research submarine approximately 900 miles off of Cape Cod. Authorities said Canadian search and rescue officials are also helping with the effort. 5 people are aboard the craft, which the Coast Guard said lost contact with its main boat, the Polar Prince, an hour and 45 minutes after it made its dive on Sunday morning. A TIPP Daily Mail poll this month found that 61% of Americans backed the idea of deploying the military to fight Mexican cartels. Stephen Dinan reports the survey found support for intervention across party lines, with majorities of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. Republicans were the most enthusiastic, with 70% backing the idea, compared with 58% of Democrats. The idea has gained strength amid calls from Republican presidential hopefuls, including former President Trump and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. And finally, a group of congressional Democrats has broken from President Biden this year over the use of federal regulations to enact his climate change agenda. Ramsey Touchberry reports dozens of Democrats have voted more than once in recent months to buck the president on Republican-led measures. Several of the Democrats who have sided repeatedly with Republicans on the climate change issue face competitive re-election races next year. 2 Democrats have opposed virtually every one of the president's green energy policies: West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Maine Representative Jared Golden. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/frontpage or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.